Well, hello everyone, and welcome to the RangerRob Country Living Podcast. And yes, that is not Dale. It is not. It is Dave Stringland. Did I say that right?
Stangland.
I was close, really
You're close.
close. I
No,
practiced. I even practiced.
Uh,
So, first of all, what's your title for Ranch Matter News?
I am a producer for Ranch Matters News.
Oh, okay, great. So
I'm,
I'll tell you more. We'll tell you more about that in a second. I got to do a couple of announcements. One is you can find the RangerRob Country Living podcast on Spreaker as his main channel. We're also on iHeartRadio, Spotify, and several other platforms. Just go down to the description, you'll find it there. But before I start the show, last week we talked about referencing I love, even Dale when he's on here, we like different opinions and we like to hear the different ideas. So last week we talked about Watch the Water, which was a report that came out last week talking about COVID stuff. But there was a counter video that came out from Peak, a good documented show against that theory, but agreed with some of the things too. So that video is linked in our description to counteract the video from last week, just to make sure everything's fair and square. So if you did do some research about that last week, there's a new link down below that talks about countering that it's not probably snake venom, but the probabilities are not there. So anyway, check it out. That'll kind of balance everything. That's really good stuff. And today's subject is kind of about community. And Dave here is part of what's called a news group called Ranch Matter News. Is that right? Is it Ranch Matter News?
Ranch Matters CRR is our.
Oh, okay, CRR.
Yeah.
And
yeah. Go ahead.
How did I say that? Ranch. Oh, I thought it was. Anyway, we're gonna score it up. So what they do is they're kind of our reporter, I don't want to say police, but informative information that give us both sides of a story that happens on our ranch or association, but not only on the ranch, but also outside of the ranch that involves our community. And so Dave has a lot of years here in Crooked River Ranch in Central Oregon. And when we talk about community, I have different aspects about what a community is all about and what we probably should start improving. And he counters that with different approaches as far as more of the bureaucracy side of things, of how to get it straightened out or get the truth out. And so I thought it'd be a lot of fun to have Dave on the show today. And then we also have to say hello to Carol. Carol,
Hi, Carol.
We're trying to get her involved in the show, and she couldn't talk her into it, but she said she'd be watching. And I told her we'd be talking about her. She goes, well, Dave will probably have a lot to say.
I could.
I don't know what that meant, but I know she's there watching. And I also need to say hello to Jack. Jack is our regular harasser, and we love having him. Very informative person. He actually came up from California and came to visit us. It was really nice to have him and his wife or partner. And it was a great time. So Jack will keep us on our toes. That's his job. So Dave, I got some questions for you. One is, I was just before the show, after I talked to you, I watched another show from Peak Prosperity, and they were talking about the coincidences of so many processing plants burning down or getting hacked and things like that. And you guys just did a report on a processing group over in Dubar. Is that what it's called?
Up in Dufur, which
Dufur.
is.
So can you tell us what you saw and what that was?
It's a processing plant that it's actually their main headquarters. They do have other facilities, so they didn't lose their full ability to stay in business. It's been cut back. Their main headquarters, which had all their offices and some of their product there, succumbed to a fire on, I believe it was Tuesday night. and it's devastating. The building, we threw some video up on Ranch Matters, and you can see that either on the Facebook page, Ranch Matters CRR, or on our website, ranchmatterscrr.com. And we have the videos, some videos. We got to talk to the owner of the facility, and he doesn't think there's anything suspicious, but I'm looking at that building, and it had to be burning really, really hot. I mean, seeing these big old metal beams that are just twisted and bent down, to me, and the look in his face was, I don't know. I've been watching a lot of these stories coming out of the Ukraine, and I see these people looking at, what's left of their building, their home, their country, and it's a look of shock. And then seeing this building there, it's a lot like what you're seeing on TV. I mean, it just kind of takes you there for a little bit. You kind of understand what these people are going through, and then you're seeing here locally. And you mentioned coincidences, and I'm one of those people who does not believe in coincidences. I just don't.
Yeah, well, there's been so many of them all over the country.
Yeah.
Not only fires, there's been a whole lot of cyber attacks against some of them too. And so, where we don't have the documented proof to say that this is what's going on, but it is beyond coincidence. We'll say that. And so it seems like it's just our infrastructure is constantly being attacked by something. If it isn't transportation, it's distribution, it's processing, and it all seems to be food oriented a lot of times. And so a lot of things we'll talk about in this show today is going to address some of that stuff. My week, you guys will probably notice on our channel, we're actually putting out a video every day. And the reason being is I got backlogged so bad in my videos that I'm talking about stuff it was 2 weeks ago, and I was trying to do my shows every Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. I had to put them all together just to get us back on track because we're getting way out there. So you're going to see a video every day from RangerRob Country Living, and you'll see us start switching into the conversation of community. And so some of the things on this show I wanted to address is how do we and I actually talked to Dave about this a little bit. It's like, and by the way, I will not forget that Dave is involved in ham radio, and we want to talk about that. And so I got that covered. We want to make sure and talk about ham radios because I have a lot of questions about that. And Dale, by the way, for you guys that haven't caught on to that, Dale Wiley is also in a ham radio. So you guys have a lot in common. You guys are actually pretty good friends.
Yeah, we've been friends, I would say, since junior high school. Yes. We grew up in the same town.
Just 5 years ago, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
You guys are both like, what, 29?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
And, I used my first hitch in the Navy. There you go.
I used to be the old man around here till Dale came along.
Okay, thank you.
It makes me feel so much better. I feel so much younger with Dale around.
Oh, there you
go. So my question to you is, okay, we know we got shortages coming on. We don't know how bad it's going to get. We have a good idea. And we also know we have inflation that's killing us.
You froze up. You have totally froze up. Hello. Hello. Okay, I don't know what happened to Rob. So I'll just stand by. And anyway, I'm sure he wanted to know more. But I don't know. Five by five. Okay. Well, I could turn around and probably check into the Oregon Emergency Net on 75 voice band, but that will knock me off of the internet real quick, so I won't do that, unfortunately. Rob needs to reboot. Do I need to reboot also, or are we good? Well, I'm a boring guest host, aren't I? Okay. KK6FOX, KD7RTE.
There we go.
Oh, welcome back.
Yeah, I was just
guest host.
Turn myself back on, but so I need to explain that something weird's been going on with the internet with Elon Musk. He's got the satellite systems and stuff. Right. Anyway, it went off like 20 minutes before the show, and I thought, oh no, and it came back on, but it looked like it went off again. So, Jack, thank you for all the data. You're good. You're bad. You're good. So anyway, we are back. I'm glad for anybody who's patient enough to hang in there with us. Everything seems intact. We still have most of our guests, so that's cool. So I wanted to get back to my question. I'll go back and say, okay, with everything going on with shortages and everything going on with inflation and stuff, what are some of the things that you're doing personally with your family to counteract some of the high prices and also the fact that some things are getting harder to get?
Well, I think part of it is I saw a lot of this happening, early in the game, and it's just kind of like I've always kind of kept things, good filled cupboards and the pantry full and the freezer full. And so as this stuff was starting to happen, I started seeing some of the prices really starting to go up on items. So some of those items that I use on a regular basis, I stock up on, the non-perishables, the things like flour, the things like pasta, the things like beans, rice, all sorts of rice, whether it's white rice or jasmine rice or brown rice, it's all good. And it's stuff that you don't really have to worry about storage, and you don't, basically you need a pot and some water. Now we'll get to the water issue. One of the things I learned years ago is I take, say, for instance, a gallon jug, that I had distilled water in. Well, I'll refill it with tap water. Hey, we got some of the best water in the world right here at Crooked River Ranch, folks.
Yeah, that's for sure.
I'll fill up those gallon jugs and I put them in the bottom of my freezer when I don't have food in there. And so it takes up part of the airspace in the freezer, which makes the freezer operate more efficiently. That's coming from a former Maytag repairman, I was. And so if I'm not having all the extra air in there, it makes the freezer run more efficiently. Plus, I freeze up all my water that I'm saving. 2 reasons. I lose the freezer, I lose power. Guess what? I got ice in there to keep that thing nice and cold for a long time.
Yeah.
The other reason is I want to go camping or something. I grab a couple jugs of water. I know I got water with me. As it defrosts, I just drink in water. Beautiful system to have, and it's simple. Costs you money. You just, if you got the freezer space, make use of it. But it's,
Definitely.
practical is more than anything else. Just being practical, saying, okay, yeah, I use a lot of rice. Okay, I use a lot of beans. I like split pea and ham soup. May not be able to get the ham in the future, but if you got the freezer space, store what you can.
Yeah.
We know meat prices aren't going to go any lower. Right now, they're just, I'm actually surprised, at Terrebonne Market is actually compatible with a lot of other people markets around here on their meat price. So I don't complain about, what it is. It is what it is. I can't do anything about it unless I want to go get a cow out here. And, you never know. Some neighbor may not like that. And there'll be a CC&R complaint, but we won't talk about them, will we?
I just found out you can have, if you have the right amount of space, that you can actually have a cow and a pigs here. So last year we got the Idaho pasture pigs now. So, but yeah, Mr. Cow, that's right. So the one pig that we actually are going to butcher this year, we named him Mr. Cow. So I want to prove to people you can get bacon from a cow.
There you go.
So and that's the help with the freezer stuff. And we're doing a lot of things. I just love the fact everybody's got to do what they can do with their resources. Some people don't have the right kind of property to have critters, but they can grow things. One of the things we try to do in this show is show people all the different ways of growing food, whether you've got a traditional garden, and if you don't, or if you're on a hill and you've got a lot of rock and stuff, it doesn't matter. Do hydroponics. I mean, it's just so easy, and it uses less water. So that's one thing we take a lot of pride in is like, okay, I'm over 60. I'll just say that. And we're doing this. And we're, if I can do it at my age and my wife and I are kicking it, there's no reason why anybody else can't do a little bit extra in their yards, be a little bit more self-sufficient. And that's one of the things we always want to make sure we talk about. But I do have a question for you on your ham radio stuff. So and you can already sound non-technical, and I'm just like this radio stuff. So tell us a little bit about the history of ham radio, what its purpose for, and what it's capable of doing during good times and bad times. Is that a big enough question for you?
Yeah, whether I can answer it all, that's a different story. Do you want it to be true or not?
Well, true is kind of nice. We're kind of known for telling the truth here.
I always try to be as true as I possibly can. Ham radio was kind of came out of about the turn of the century, about the early 1900s, and there was a guy named Maxim, and I can't think of his first name, but he was heavily into developing it. When ham radio first came about, it was basically what they call a spark gap system, and they were using high intensity. You had a wire going off your spark wire, and you were tapping this thing, and it would send out a and they get down and do Morse code with it. Old Samuel Morse had that code out there, and there, voice was a thing that just wasn't happening, not for a long time. You always had telegraph lines, and they all sent Morse code, and radios became the thing for ships at sea, cross country communications. We didn't have phone lines going across the country then, but there was only a very small amount of ham operators, and a lot of them were ex-military, that were learning as they went. I mean, there wasn't a whole lot of radio back then, but as time advanced, the hobby advanced, and it became okay. Now instead of having this spark gap system, now we determine that using correct my terminology is correct oscillation and everything else, and tuning it up and getting the correct wavelength. Now we got a frequency to work with. Okay, I'm up on right now. I'm sitting a radio in the office here is sitting on 3.980, and that frequency is a 75 meter voice band. And right now there is a net going on. It's a emergency communications net, and what they do basically, they call cities throughout the state of Oregon. And if there's a station in that city who has his radio turned on, he will check in with his call sign. and they'll acknowledge him. And throughout the state, and then they'll have relays because, hey, I can be here in Central Oregon. I may not hear the guy in I'm here at Crooked River Ranch. I may not hear the guy up at Madras because it's too close. Those signals go up and over the top of us. Hello. You can have close range communications if I'm using VHF, UHF, where I can be, line of sight, eyeball to eyeball, or you're using repeaters. You're going up. Mount Hood has a repeater that if I get into it, I can talk to stations all the way up and down the Willamette Valley and a little bit into Washington. And I know there's a couple stations out in Fossil that once in a while check in on that particular repeater. And that's on Sunday night at 7 o'clock. And the frequency for all you guys that got those police scanners out there, because you can program it in, is 147.120 megahertz. And that's where it's the Clackamas County Aries Net, Aries standing for Amateur Radio Emergency Services. And it's a team of volunteers. They're all in Clackamas County, but I check in as out of the affected area. So there may be, hey, they need a relay to get a message down to Bend from here, but they don't have the radio communications down there, or they can't get a hold of somebody down there. I work outside and I'll be listening to their net, and I check in with them. If they have some message traffic that needs to come over here, they'll pass it over to me, and then I'll pass it on to where it needs to go from there. Use a lot of relays that way on some of the short emergency type situations, because that's where it's going to be at. If you remember during Katrina, there was a gentleman in Portland, Oregon, Jim Festermiker, and he was from the ARRL. The ARRL is the Amateur Radio Relay League, and they are our national organization. And he was our West Coast, Oregon, Northwest, Pacific Northwest representative from that organization. And he picked up a call out of, I believe it was Gretna, Louisiana, which is very close to New Orleans. And he picked up the emergency call from some people that were, basically on a roof, and things are closing in pretty close.
Wow.
And he was able to relay the information from Portland, Oregon, back to the affected area to get to the right officials, because these two stations couldn't talk to each other in Louisiana.
Oh, wow.
That's the magic of him, is it's going to work one way or the other. And we always say, when all else fails, Ham is there.
Can you operate in power outages?
Yes, I can. Most of my radios are all 12-volt systems. So, inside the house here, I have a power supply. But if we drop power here, I run a couple cords right outside. I got several deep cell batteries charged up and ready to go out here, that keep me going. If it goes for, and I have to be on there. There was one day, oh gosh, I think a year ago, about the time that massive windstorm went through here, if you remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, it was wow. And then I was doing net that day for the noontime net, which was over on 40 meters, and I was taking check-ins, and it was a busy afternoon. I think we had 300 or 400 check-ins that afternoon, and all of a sudden our power went out. Okay, so I went to the emergency batteries and continued on with the net. Well, I was noticing my power level was going down rapidly, and I'm going, okay, ingenuity, let's go. Drove my car around to the back of the house, run the jumper cables from the battery on the car to the batteries and finish my job. Got the job.
So what's a typical day of being on the ham radio? I mean, it's not like a CB where you get on there and go,
break.
Hey, need to be out there, breaker, all that stuff. What's a typical
say for instance,
day of ham radio?
And I'm on an open frequency. I grab an open frequency. I have my radio tuned up and ready to go. With most of just the basic radio, like I have a Yaesu FT857 Delta, which is a mobile unit that can be used in the house. It's it's a very versatile unit. It has almost all the radio frequencies I would ever need to use in one box. Yeah, you kind of compromise on some of the stuff, have another big radio, but unfortunately, it needs to go in the shop. I have a little problem here, and it's about 15 years old. So yeah, it's getting old, and it's got a lot of hours on it. But normally, say if I go to a frequency and I'm sitting around here and I ain't doing much, and I want to yap with somebody, I'll just pick a frequency as pretty open, and I get on there and go CQ, CQ, CQ. This is Kilo Delta 7 Romeo Tango Echo calling CQ. CQ, CQ, CQ. This is KD7 RTE, KD7 RTE. Kilo Delta 7 Romeo Tango Echo in Central Oregon, calling CQ and standing by for a call. That's what I would say. All of a sudden, I'll hear somebody, and I, depending on where I'm at, what band I'm at and what time of day it is, it could be somebody coming back from me from Florida. It could be somebody coming back to me from Vancouver, Washington. I don't know. And CQ is just a code meaning seek you.
Or why did you say BS, BS, BS?
DX. You'll hear DX all the time.
Oh, what's that?
That means long distance. And that's
gotcha.
In the early evenings, I can go on the 40 meter band around 7190 megahertz. And I may be working some Europe. I may be working some I know about 11 o'clock our time every evening, the Aussies and the New Zealanders are in there. And Jack, I got a VX5. I actually have two of them. So little handhelds. They're great little radios, buddy.
You found something in common with Jack. That's cool.
Yeah.
So I want to talk about community a little bit again. And so you guys have heard on our show, we've talked about Crooked River Ranch, which we're in, I don't know how many acres it is, 17,000 acres. That was once a big ranch, and they broke it up into subdivisions, and it used to be a recreational area. So people used to camp and bring their RVs here back in the 70s. And eventually it got changed over to residential. It's a long story how it got there. So
1983, from being recreational properties to residential, it was the old people were grandfathered in if you had an RV or something like that. But
I remember that
boards in over the years have made their little resolutions and asked people, no, we'd rather you not camp for a couple of weeks here. Well, why not? It's their property.
Well, so what we've got here is a community that's grown quite a bit. So we're up to about 4,500 people, maybe 5,000.
Yeah,
how much has grown.
Yeah, when I first moved out here, it was 750 people. I knew almost every one of them I knew at one time or another.
Yeah. So as a community, we have kind of a unique situation. We're a community where most people have some acreage. Some are on hills, some are rocky, some are flat, a little bit of everything. But a lot of people have from 1 acre to almost 6, around there. And so we have a unique situation here, which I want to talk about a little bit. But I want to exclude people that are outside of the ranch. This can happen. What I'm going to talk about can happen in Central Oregon, in just neighborhoods. I came from, I lived in Mesa, Arizona for quite a while. And when you're in kind of developments and stuff, sometimes they all have names too. And you can do things as a community in your particular HOA area. Like we're like Royal Mesa something, where we had a little neighborhood where, and our little and we also had next door software, just like up here. And so one thing I just did maybe a week ago, I did a video that actually got a lot of great feedback, and I was really surprised. I thought I'd get all kinds of angry people. And I was talking about community, and so a lot of people told me about things we already have here. And this is true with other neighborhoods too. Because we do have a senior center. We have our own HOA. We also have, and our senior center does a lot of things for the community. We have a food bank. We have our own fire station, and we have a public pool, and we have a lot of little things, a Lions Club, things like that. So I don't want to knock any of those down. Those are all super organizations. Yes, they'll have their bureaucracy and they'll have their, politics, just like any organization. We even have, I think, 2 churches. I think we got one up on the hill, one down lower.
3. There's 2 churches. There's 2 churches down below.
Yeah, and we have a couple of restaurants down below in our lower part of our what we call Crooked River Ranch. We have a little store. We have a a golf club. And our 2
hey, we got a bocce ball court, man.
That's right. I saw that.
Court, finally. How long
I just learned how to play that too. So, anyway, my point is I want to go to what's going on in society today, which is possible shortages that could get extreme. We have inflation that could really get extreme, and we just don't know what's going to happen. And the problem is with people, by the way, is a lot of people don't react until it actually is happening.
Yeah.
And what we're trying to teach is we want to be informed and react and be active before it happens, so you're not caught off guard. Well, some people can't do that. They can't look ahead like that. And so, but we keep preaching. It's like, they're saying this, we're seeing these reports, we're seeing all, and we try not to go with one person's opinion. We want to hear different organizations' opinion about what's happening with transportation, what's happening with distribution, what's happening with inventory, what's happening with your local stores, what's happening with our food supplies and meat supplies, on and on and on. And it doesn't look really good. The reports are saying that we're going to see some real serious stuff going on within the next 30 to 90 days. And so right now I could be sounding like a fool. But 3 months from now, you're going, well, maybe Rob knew what he was talking about. So my point bringing this all back is we all have HOAs. We all have, well, not all of us, but we all have communities. And I'm just like suggesting, what if the Crooked River Ranch or any other organization or areas came up with an organization that was to help prevent or the being more self-sufficient in case of an emergency. So my point is, what if Crooked River Ranch, and here's the uniqueness of our place, is everybody's got property, and some people can raise food. Some people can raise pigs. Some people can raise cows. Some people can raise rabbits. Some people can do hydroponics and everything like that. If that was organized, where I'm not talking about, I know we have a food bank, but that's our food bank. I realized I actually had them on the show, is they're supplied for their food in band. A big truck comes in, unloads at the food bank, and almost the majority of the food that they dispute, give out to people, comes from that organization. What if that organization can't make it here? What if the roads are closed? What if there's no gas, whatever? Then that's not going to be a very good food bank, is it?
No.
Unless we had an organized community that knew who was growing what, who had what food, who had certain animals. And we learned how to trade a little bit. We had a communication tool within our own community to be more self-reliant. And I know that we got to deal with our older folks. We got younger folks. We have kids. But what if things got really bad? And we have this unique area, and other areas could do it too, where you actually, instead of just being a community of just a senior center or just a food bank, where you actually have a communication or some central organization that is, its job is, what do we do in a case of emergency like food and transportation and inflationary problems with people, where if it got extreme, what the heck would we do? Because if you have a handful of people on this ranch that are hungry and desperate, they could cause a lot of problems unless we were united a little bit and could work as a community. So what's your feelings on that? What would you add to that?
Well, number one, always goes back to the Boy Scouts motto: be prepared. You gotta be. And you get what you can when you can, and but at the same time, you got to think outside the box. I think a lot of that is KO7N 73. Okay, thinking outside of the box. What else can I do to survive? How am I going to survive? And I also have to worry about if I got a house full of food that I've stocked up for the past number of years. Who's going to kick my door in and think he's going to take it from me? And now what's going to happen? And that's always scary. I lived out on the ranch for, like I say, 33 years. Originally, I lived on Ridge Place. Back then, we called it Squawback Ridge Place, but we're politically correct now on the ranch, so that's cool. and all the property owners knew each other. There's 30 lots on Ridge Place, and we all knew each other. And one of the things we used to do on Sunday mornings, and I realize it's kind of detouring off the subject a little bit, but we're talking about the community. All the guys would get out there on Sunday morning. There was a big plank that we had, and we had ropes tied up to the trailer hitch on a 4-wheel drive pickup truck. One guy would drive the pickup truck, and the rest of us guys would stand on that plank, and we'd have ropes coming back to us to keep us from falling backwards or whatever. And the guy would drive up and down Ridge Place, the other place, and we did that. We did that every Sunday morning for 5-6 years. And after we got done doing it, the ladies would have coffee and cookies and donuts and things like that for us.
Yeah,
it was a great thing. Well, one of the fellas that he's passed away now, Ken Bruce. Anybody remember Ken? He was a great guy. Well, he came up with the idea to pave that road, and that's how that road got paved. We got all 30 property owners together. I'm talking now. This is talking community. We got all 30 property owners together, and we all forked out $295. We formed a limited road district, and we paved that road ourselves.
Oh, sweet.
That's how that road got paved, because there was a lot of people asking, how did Ridge Place get paved and we don't? It's a cul-de-sac. It's a dead-end road. Well, the people that lived there did. About, I would say, within 5 years of that happening, of it being paved, almost every lot that filled up there, and that road was traffic all the time. We kind of regretted it afterwards, but it showed. Yeah, I mean, really, every lot starts.
Careful what you ask for, right?
Yeah, you got to be careful, but it's just showing that community can be done. But you got to get to starts with knowing your neighbors. It starts to Dale's son Adam lives right next door to me.
Yeah.
So, and I was just playing, I don't believe in coincidences, but, that was one of those. That's kind of strange. How did that happen? And then on the other side of me is a Vietnam vet, Air Force vet, who's disabled and has a lot of issues, but really a hell of a nice guy, him and his wife. And, we kind of look over, pay attention for our fellow vets. And I'm a disabled vet myself. And, you got to be involved with your immediate neighbors. That's first thing.
I get embarrassed a little bit. For example, on the ranch, they had an Easter egg hunt. I had no clue that they even had one. Not that I want to go to Easter egg hunt, but I saw something on Facebook or something, and they were showing pictures that they had some kind of Easter event, and I had no idea that was going on. And some reason, I don't feel like I'm connected. I mean, I want to be, and I know that there's a newsletter or something, but something's just not right, because it seems like there's so many neat little things going on in the ranch, which this is the same problem that could happen with any organization. And certain people are just not being connected because of this fast pace of life, or I'm not looking to the right when I should be looking to the left to find out when some of these things are going on. For example, I do know that we have and I had to kind of find out through Dale that we actually have our own little farmer's market. Why? I mean, I don't know why it hasn't jumped out. Maybe it's my fault that I haven't really put a effort into finding the schedule. And I know it probably comes out in our little paper or something. And, but it's just kind of passing me by. And it's like, oh, I didn't know we had one of those. And Dale's goes, yeah, let's go sell plants there. Cool. But I had no idea it was even running. And it wasn't for the fact that I ran into someone talking about the food bank that I literally went out and interviewed them with on our show.
Great.
But some reason, I don't know what it is. It's the way things are today or whatever. Like I said, I seem to be looking to the right when there's things off to the left I'm missing. And so like, how do you improve that? How do you get everybody to say, what's going on around here? Call one number, look at one place and find out where everything's going on here, good, bad, or indifferent. Like I'd love to go to some of these meetings here that are HOA, just to sit back and say, what is these people having problems for, and actually see it. But I have no idea when they meet. I have no idea when,
Let me help you out on that. Right now, HOA board meetings are done via Zoom.
I saw that. That's
okay.
Stupid.
In order to do so, you go to the crookedriverranch.com website, and the Zoom meetings are held. The work session meeting is 10 a.m. the first Monday of the month, every month. The main formal boards meeting, which is their formal board meeting, is 6 p.m. on the third Monday of every month. And so,
we need to talk about Carol more.
Yeah, she just sent me a message. Okay, you're doing a good job. Good guest. Gotta love Ranger Bob. I do. Thank you, Ranger Bob.
Close enough.
Got me out here, and I approve this message, but I'm not running for any office. Sorry, I just can't. I can't do it. I can't. It wouldn't be prudent. No, I didn't inhale. I did not inhale.
I did.
And I didn't have sex with that woman. I was pointing at Janet Reno when I said that.
That's right.
That's right.
So let me ask you about these Zoom meetings. Can people sit on the Zoom meeting and have a say?
You can go to the Zoom meeting. Now, the work session meeting, which is the first Monday at 10 a.m. in the morning, they don't allow any public input. Although there's some special people that will get some input, but it's normally the work session meeting is closed to any comments. During the main meeting, they will open it up for public comments. You're allowed 3 minutes, unless whoever the president doesn't like what you're talking about, and that's where Carol Orr gets in there. They didn't like what she was talking about one time, and they gavelled down and stood up and walked out on her. Really nice, goodness. Really nice thing to do. I mean, really.
Now, was that on a Zoom meeting or was that in person?
No, that was in person. They actually stood up and walked out on her while she's talking, or they would interrupt her about a minute into her conversation and try to cut her off.
Yeah. So on these Zoom meetings, when they have public, is that effective?
Those Zoom meetings, no. To me,
I wouldn't think it would be.
The only thing that we videotape the Zoom meetings. In the in-person meetings, they pass a resolution that we aren't allowed to videotape or take pictures or anything in an in-person meeting. They passed that resolution a couple years ago because people didn't like what we were recording of them. I guess they didn't like seeing themselves in person saying what they were saying. And
the reason I bring that up is, once again, it's not just a problem with Crooked River Ranch. It's
everywhere.
I imagine they're probably doing that at Redmond, and they're doing it at all these other, hiding behind those keyboards. And it's like, there's just some things you got to do with people live public. And so, hey, the COVID thing's over with. Get your butts back into the buildings and
the county
make
commission,
room for public.
The county commission has Jefferson County Commission has had in-person meetings forever. The SRD has in-person meetings at the Juniper Room on I believe it's the second Wednesday at 10 a.m. of each month. Do you get the Telegraph at all?
No.
The little that's what you're going to have to get the telegraph. You're going to have to call them down at the office and ask them to start mailing you the telegraph, because
maybe I do get the telegraph. Is it the Crooked River Ranch News?
Yeah, it's that newspaper. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So I do get it. Yes, I do.
It has all their schedules. It has all their committee members and lists of, all the different organizations. And when they have meetings, if they're a community organization, they'll be in the community organization that they're having a meeting here or whatever. Then you'll see the official, board meetings, SRD meetings, fire department meetings, maybe the water company meetings are listed in there. So there's a lot of different organizations out here, and it's kind of amazing how many of them that we, like you said, you're getting behind. You're having to do a show every day, and when I tell people what it takes for us to get just a story up, say for instance, driving all the way up to Doofer, going out and getting the interviews, figuring out, sampling a bunch of pictures, figuring out what the storyline is, and wanting to keep it, we try to put it so it's you're reading it as if you're there. When we did, we are one of the few groups. I'm going to brag about this. We were the only news, freelance or otherwise, from Central Oregon that was down in Portland on the very first day that the riot started, and we caught the very first arrest. We videotaped the very first arrest that afternoon down there.
Wow!
And it was one of those guys that does the deal deliveries or whatever. We deal, where he drives downtown or he drives whatever. They got a packet. Oh, this was a lunch for somebody in one of those office buildings down there, and the protesters were blocking the road, and it's a one-way road, and he was not from there. He got turned around, and he didn't want to back up. He wanted to go forward. They wouldn't let him. The police told him to back up. He goes, "Where do I go?" They finally yanked him out of the car and arrested him. We have it all on video. That was the very first arrest. They arrested him for disorderly conduct. Yet at the same time, they were spray painting all those buildings down there, the federal building, the federal courthouse, and then that night we were down there and started seeing the first riots. Every weekend after that, every Saturday night or Friday night, we were down there. We weren't parked off to the side of the road like the main media out of Portland. We were there walking among these people who were, I got hit with tear gas. I got hit with pepper spray. I got hit with rubber balls. All that stuff was going on all around me. I got,
that's I guess brings me to the point of journalism in general, or organizations where a lot of journalists, their way of doing reporting is going on the internet and finding a story from someone else.
That's why we call them repeaters, not reporters.
That's right. And I'm finding organizations fighting, and school districts hiding behind computers, keyboards, Zoom meetings and
taglines. That's the other one. Taglines. They all, remember the one here, a number of years ago, George Bush doesn't have gravitas. Remember that? Every news station that afternoon, whether it was ABC, CBS, MSNBC, you name it, CNN, other than Fox, that was their talking phrase for that day. That was their talking, gravitas. And
I almost feel like almost all these organizations are all operating from agendas.
Nobody goes out in the field anymore. Me and John do. John, I can't say enough about John and how he keeps this organization going. He has the background from being a PI and a reserve cop. He'd been doing this for like 40 years.
Wow! Now, do you guys actually produce a paper, or do you do everything online?
We do everything online. We have the Facebook site, and then we have the website, and
Gotcha.
And I do the work on the website. Sometimes I get it pretty good, but there's always some technical difficulties. I mean, I'm an old guy too. I'll say, yeah, I'm 60 something.
Yep.
If
it makes you feel any better, I run about 35 websites, so I know the problems.
Yeah. It's just and I'm new to this, website part. I've played with the internet for years and years, but Facebook, I avoided it until 5 years ago. 5 years ago that, me and John were talking, and we go, we got to really, this stuff is happening all around us, and there's no way to let anybody know. There's no. We had
I'll tell you one more secret. I was the last one to run the Sagebrush News for the last year.
I remember you then. Yeah, I remember Jude very well. Jude Vallendorf.
Yep.
And
she's
right.
What happened is Tim Satterfield had it, and he was in our building.
Right.
And then it didn't work out. So the people that actually originated the paper asked if we'd take it over. Well, we did butt heads with them, but we tried to revive it because it was dying. Oh my gosh, this was about 2003.
The Bose, wasn't it?
Yeah. We'll just go with that. So we'll not take that conversation any farther.
Yeah, 9760 News or something like that at one time. It's a couple different names.
Tim Satterfield was using our building for cutting edge webs. I owned that at the time. And we said, okay, we'll take it over and see if we can revive it, get it back going. And so we ran it for about 9 months towards the end, trying to get it up, trying to get it on the internet more, all that stuff. And it was fun. I mean, it was a great experience. But after a while, I was like, we're just pumping our profits into that paper because it was just going downhill. So we just said, we're done. But that's where the problem came. But after that, we won't talk about that history. But
this is an organization. It wasn't meant to be that way, but that's how it turned out.
That's right. So anyway, but yeah, we were the last one, so it was kind of fun. It was a great experience, but it was another example of getting the word out and getting the truth out. And those are some very interesting things that happened back in the day. But doing a newspaper is just so costly, and I can certainly see why you're not doing a newsletter or a newspaper. And of course, back in 2003 was like that cusp of newspapers. Do they keep printing or do they do everything online? And that's where we were at that time. And it was clear to us. It was like, we can't do this. We're going back to making websites for people. We're not going to do this paper.
Oh, okay. And hey, Jack, I'm not running for mayor. No way. No.
We don't even have a mayor, do we?
No, I guess that's what the ranch president is, but I don't know if he thinks he's mayor or he thinks he's the base CO.
So explain that to me. Terrebonne is a town.
Yes.
But and we're considered Terrebonne, but we don't have a mayor.
No, it's unincorporated. That's why. An incorporated city, say Culver, a little city up north of us, that has a mayor. They have the city council.
Yeah.
Because we are considered a 501c4, which is what do they say? Mutual benefit corporation, nonprofit mutual benefit corporation. We are not a municipality, and that's why they get away with a lot of this stuff that they get away with. If it was a public business, a publicly traded organization or a municipality, there'd be a lot of things that would not fly out here. There would be just a whole lot of things. There'd be a lot of things. You'd watch a lot of plane crashes. Plane crash and burn. Okay.
Oh man. So so a lot of interesting history here.
There is.
And I've been in and out of Crook River Ranch for over 20 years, and so I know every time Dave and I have been talking offline, it's like the stories are just so funny. I mean, there's some weren't funny at the time, but they're funny now. But
well, there's been a lot of stories out here. Our old. I think I talked to you earlier about our Department of Public Safety out here.
Yeah.
We had when I first moved out here, there was a Crooked River Ranch Department of Public Safety. They drove around in sedans with a star on the side of them. They didn't have the E-plates, and that's where they got into trouble. But the deputies were carrying a commission card from the sheriff out of Jefferson County. And somewhere there, some lady got pulled over, or they attempted to pull her over, and ended up chasing her down to the Stillhead Falls parking lot. Oh, from what the story that came out afterwards, and that is a long time ago.
Legend has it, right?
It has it. She was running because she didn't know her way around out here in the ranch. Number one. Number two, he didn't have E-plates, and here's flashing red and blues, and she could see it was not an E-plate, which is, telltale saying, you're hearing about women being pulled over by fake cops, who throw a light bar up there.
Yep.
So, she did the right thing. Well, she got down to the bottom of the hill down there, and he kind of blocked her off. And I guess what she said she did is closed her eyes and gunned it. And she blew past him, started up the road, and he fired a bunch of rounds into the back of her car.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Now, I don't know about you. I learned with, being in the Navy and weapons security, hey, you better have the threat coming at you,
Yeah,
and
definitely.
The other thing is dead man tell no tale, you gotta, it can be scary. They say shoot the worm. No, shoot the worm. No, dead man tell no tale.
I get a kick when we were talking earlier. It's like, I know a series of people from 20 years ago, back in the 1999 on, and you've been farther back in that, but it's so funny because we have these conversations of these same people you integrated with too. Like we're talking like Billy Bob Burns, which was a neighbor of mine, and we had Kitty. Kitty
Poland.
What's that?
Kitty Poland.
Yes, her. The famous.
No, you said amazing. It's once you said Kitty. Oh, I know exactly who you're talking about.
Yes. I called her Candy, but it's Kate. It was Kitty, and I just loved her. She was, and she loved casinos. Oh my gosh, she loved, and she would win on that lottery thing all the time. She was really good at winning. It's like we thought maybe she's got to in with the lottery people.
Oh, that'd be nice.
Yeah. But she was an interesting lady, and she didn't like everybody, but she liked me, and we got along great. And I was really into websites and cutting edge webs at the time and all that. So, but she had a respect for me and my family. So I really appreciated that. So
20 years ago, if you think about how the internet was just really getting going, that was during the bubble, where
we did. Everybody had a website that was in real estate. We were doing it for her. Like Nancy Pop, she was going through our company. Okay. All of them. We used to have Pam Lester and Sandy Gardner. All those people were our clients. And but that was when the internet was brand new. And so we had over 680 websites we maintained out of Redmond.
That's a lot of work. That's a lot of work.
Yeah, it was kind of interesting, but we are actually running out of time, and this has been great. So what I want to do is leave an invite for you, and I know every Thursday at 6 o'clock, people, we do a show unless something silly happens. But what I'll do is I'll IM you and say, hey, if you're available, we'll have you come on. But I'd love to have you on a regular basis, because I'm sure there's be a lot of great stories, and you have a lot of insight.
Yeah. I'm sure, and as time goes on, I'll loosen up a little bit, and I'm sure I'll be it's kind of like I found something today, and I thought you might be interested in seeing.
Yes.
I'm an ex-military man, and I found my official DoD mug. Remember the DoD?
Oh, sweet.
This was a DoD mug. Let's see if I can show that to you.
Nice.
And if you remember, the sale price on it was DoD sale price.
Oh my gosh!
And
I got to catch up though, because we got to get offline.
But that part about it arrived broken.
Oh no! Hey guys, we got to go because we actually get syndicated to other shows, so we got to stay in time here. But thank you so much for being on the show today.
Pleasure to be here.
All right. Thank you very much for watching our video. Please take the time to like, subscribe, and share our videos all over the whole wide world. Thanks.